Hello, Dr. Ramon Lusadaga, and this is the first heresy covered by Allison in his book, The Cruelty of Heresy. Docetism is a heresy that denies the humanity of Jesus. It comes from the Greek word dokein, which means to seem or appear. This heresy teaches that Jesus only appeared to be human, that he only appeared to suffer and die. Now, why would some Christians in the early church buy into this heresy? Well, in 1 Corinthians 1:23, there is the passage by Paul which says that Jesus Christ crucified is a scandal to the Jews and foolishness for the Greeks. Scandal, the Greek word skandalon, means stumbling block. So Paul in 1 Corinthians 1:23 is saying that belief that Jesus Christ died is a stumbling block. It is something that many Jews cannot buy into, and many Greeks, many pagan Greeks, find foolish. Why? Well, for Jews, the idea that God, the Creator, the one who gave us the universe, the one who gave us being, the idea that he would become one of us and suffer and die for our salvation was quite literally a scandal. It was something that was blasphemous. How can God, first of all, become one of us, one of his own creation, and then go through change, undergo the most drastic of change, namely suffering and death, where one goes from being to non-being? This was a major reason why Christians suffered persecution, because of this blasphemous teaching that God becomes, well, one of us, one of his own creation, and undergoes this worst type of change, namely suffering and death. This teaching, which was a scandal for the Jews, was foolishness for the Greeks. A pagan Greek would say, why would a god, because of course the Greeks believed in many gods, why would they give up their state of beatitude, their state of holiness, that exalted state on Mount Olympus? Why give all that up and live in a grimy, dirty, topsy-turvy world? Why give up immortality and become a mortal? Why give up the creature comforts, this exalted state of being a god, and become one of us? It should be the reverse. It's ridiculous that any god would want to become one of us. It's even more ridiculous, even more foolish that they would suffer and die. So we have these early Christians who, because of the Jewish thinking that God cannot become one of his own creation, that God cannot suffer or die, bracketed by the Greek idea that no god, however many of them they are, would want to give up their exalted state and become one of us, enduring life, including suffering and death. Because of these pressures, because of these arguments to the Christian message, these heretical Christians reasoned, well then, to sort this out, God cannot undergo change. So for God to not undergo change, for God to not undergo suffering and death, for God to not undergo the trials and tribulations of being a human being, his humanity had to have been some sort of appearance. He only had to have appeared to suffer and die. Now, why is this heresy cruel? Why is this heresy cutting us off from salvation? Why does this heresy cut us off from God and the people who we ought to become? Our question.